All right, we are golden and we are recording.
Okay, I'll go ahead and just start. So we, as you guys know, with our 60-day slay group, we are trying to give you items and not just us giving you training all the time, but us collaborating and sharing what's been successful for all of us. But we try to give you items that are things that you can put into action immediately versus just like the fluff. So we want tonight to, all three of us, so myself, Lauren, and Courtney, once she gets on, are going to share our top 3 things for us that over the past year or so, I would say, have been the most income producing for us. Now, we probably, all 3 of us, do what the other is going to say. We just got together before this, so we didn't duplicate anything. But we wanted to come with 3 tips that you could take notes and do every single day. Okay, so my top 3, so my number 1 is I have a consistent morning routine. So before I even had Miles, I was getting up around 5 a.m. And I will admit, I'll be the first to admit, this has slacked majorly since having Miles. I, use the excuse a lot. Even now that he's like sleeping through the night, I've used the excuse of like, well, I deserve to sleep in because, I lost all that sleep from when he was a newborn. So I've been using excuses. And so having a consistent morning routine, whatever that is for you, is so important. So I just wanted to show you an example of what mine looks like. It doesn't have to be the exact same by any means, but just do what works for you and your family right now. So my routine is 5 a.m. I wake up, get out of bed, get my clothes on, get my tennis shoes on, get my hair up, go to the bathroom, let the dogs out, those types of things. By 5:15, I try to be pumping, and while I'm pumping, so I actually have a hands-free pumping bra, while I'm pumping, I'm on my phone making connections, which means I'm going to like Tulsa on Instagram and looking for women like me in my life phase. I'm going to certain Instagram handles and making connections with, like, I always use the example of the Taking Care of Babies Instagram, which is a sleeping Instagram. I go there and try to make connections with women over there. And most of the time I'll go to their page, comment on something in their story, and then move on to the next person. So I'm constantly making those connections the whole time I'm pumping. Usually that's about 20 to 30 minutes. So 5:15 to 5:45 is when I like to be working out by. It doesn't always happen, but the goal is to be working out by 5:45 or 6. So I work out, I show a couple of clips, maybe 2 to 3 workout clips on my Instagram and Facebook stories. And I actually have my Instagram and Facebook stories linked as a side note. So it goes to both of them automatically. And you do that in your Instagram settings. And then, so I'm showing up in my stories. I'm showing people that I'm up, that I'm working on coach stuff before I'm working out. And hold on, sorry, Courtney messaged me. So she's not able to get in. I don't know. I don't know if you want to message her. Anyway, so I'm showing up on my stories and showing people that I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm showing them that I'm doing what I'm doing consistently every single morning. If you watch my stories, if you're familiar, you probably have seen the picture of the pump and the, pre-workout every single morning. I post that and it shows people that I'm getting going for the morning. And I do that consistently. And then I usually have to be at work around 8. And then once I get to work, I typically in my first morning break, I craft my post for the day, my actual post. And then I try to get that out before lunch usually. Sometimes I wait until after work, which is fine. But I try to craft that in the breaks of my day. But anyway, I don't want to get into like my whole entire day, because the main point of action step number 1 is to have a consistent morning routine. Action step number 2 for me is I do weekly before and afters. So I alternate them, and Courtney had some amazing tips on before and afters in the 60-day Slay group already. So I'm not going to like go into major detail, but I alternate between a program before and after. So the current program that I'm doing, which is 6 weeks of the work, I like to post, so that would be every 2 weeks, an update on what my progress is with that. And then in the off week of that, and the in-between week, I'm doing a transformation of where I was like before coaching, or probably in my unhealthiest state, like in college, or what my mindset was, or my mentality around health and fitness, or my mentality around food versus what I am doing now. And so I do that kind of transformation on the in-between weeks. And then I always try to just post them on what we call high volume days. So Sunday night, Monday, or Tuesday are usually the times that I try to post transformation pics. Occasionally I'll do like if it has to do with like coaching and health and fitness. Sometimes I'll do Thursdays, but most of the high volume before and afters come from Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. Okay, so that's number 2. And then action step number 3 is invite. So you'll, there's gonna be lots of people in this business that say like, oh, the people just come to you. That's never been the case for me. I've never like, preempted my coaches with like, oh, people are just gonna like flock to you. Like you have to 1, show up in your posting, and 2, I have had to invite from the very beginning, and I still invite every single day. So action step number 3 is inviting, making no excuses, making no exceptions. I set a standard for myself every single day, which is 20 invites, and my standards are what are going to get me to my goal someday. So I'm not like, oh, hopefully I can get out 20 invites today. I'm like, no exceptions. I'm getting out 20 invites, and I do not go to bed unless I get those invites out. And then a lot of times I'll reuse, and Lauren's going to talk about resourcefulness, but I'll reuse slides that I've used in my stories before to promote a challenge group, or to promote a coach sneak peek coming up. So I'll reuse those invites, and then I will invite from those. So I was going to just tell you guys just 2 quick examples of what my current invite looks like. So this is my super simple challenge group invite. I say their name with an exclamation mark. So this example is, Katie, I saw you caught my stories about my February Fit Crew coming up on Monday. Ever thought about joining us? Super simple, like to the point. Either what the hell is a Fit Crew, or if they actually read through all of my slides about that explain the Fit Crew, they're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I kind of have thought about it. Like, I need more information though. So usually it's one of those. And then my coach invite is very similar. So yeah, Maddie, saw you caught my stories about my coach sneak peek that we're hosting this week. Did you want me to add you? Coach sneak peek invites are super simple. When I don't have a coach sneak peek coming up, all I say is, saw you caught my stories about my coach journey. Is this something that you had ever thought about doing as well? So super simple, short and sweet, to the point. I get ghosted all the time. I get no responses. I get, no, this isn't for me. But I continue to show up every single day, and those are why I've been able to build a business and and have income producing activities, from having a consistent morning routine, from doing weekly before and afters, and from consistently inviting 20 people a day. Now, real quick, those were my top 3, but real quick about the invites. I didn't start off with 20 invites a day. I started off with 5, and I just made it a standard to get 5 invites out a day. And then gradually I grew, maybe like 6 months into the business, my goals grew. And so I started, doing 10 invites a day, and then 20 shortly after. So it depends on your goals, but if you guys have big goals, I definitely would set that daily standard high. Okay, next.
Court, do you want to go ahead and go, just so in case, baby, if you've got a moment right now, I'll let you go if you need to.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I think everybody in here knows me. If not, I am Courtney Lubring. I am also a Premier Coach with Lauren and Courtney, and super excited to run this Diamond Challenge with you guys, the 60-day slay, because you're in this group, that means you're taking your business seriously. So my first tip, or something that I do weekly, is be extremely vulnerable. This was really hard for me as a new coach, because I was very nervous about what people would think of my posts, nervous about, we didn't have stories back when I first started coaching, but just nervous what people would think about me. But I realized the more vulnerable, the more honest I was with my journey, that's when I related to people, because nobody likes to see somebody who's totally perfect with their health and fitness, because it's not relatable, and they are probably not going to want to join you. So an example of a post I had last week was sharing that basically momhood is just rough. My postpartum hit me a little later, I think, than what most people do. And so early on, I was like, I got this shit. I got this. And then I feel like things have kind of went opposite. I've gotten harder. My hormones went crazy. The workout I was doing was not bringing me joy. And I was just like, listen, I'm not a quitter, but this program isn't bringing me joy, and I'm switching to something that does. If you're interested and you're a busy mom, come join me. I get it. But I shared a lot of things in that post about me, having postpartum hit later. I'm pretty good about that in my stories too, just kind of sharing the ins and outs of momhood, what's working for me. But then I'll definitely go on there and be like, it's rough, ask for advice, or share what I'm going through, and keep updating people on that journey. I noticed when I really started sharing more, I kind of struggled with the use of laxatives before I started coaching. And I noticed once I was super honest about that true story of me, I had a lot of people either relate or just reach out and be like, thank you so much for being real, being brave, and sharing that journey. And that helped them realize hey, I'm human. I've had some struggles in the past too. And they could relate to me. Number 2, one thing that I like to do, and Courtney and Lauren are really good about this too, is kind of structuring your posts in your weeks with launches you have coming up. So whatever you're promoting, if it is a coach info panel or if it is your boot camp, make sure your post and what you're inviting to are aligning with what you have coming up. So another really great thing about your post is people love the inspiring posts. I repost every day. I'm like, gosh, that's so damn inspiring. But make sure you're providing your potential clients with value, because if they see you providing a lot of value in your posts that you're sharing with everyone, they're going to think, okay, what is she sharing in her group? If she's sharing this with everybody, what am I going to get in the group, kind of thing. Number 3 is don't forget to invest in your current clients. This is something I struggled with for a while. I would think, okay, I got to get these new clients, hit SC. And then I wasn't truly giving the clients that I had all the attention they deserve. And those clients that you have are your potential discount coaches who want to stay on that product every single month. The more you show them how valuable those products are and you using them, they're going to want to do it too. But you've got to be giving them the love and the attention that you're giving everybody else on social media. And another thing with that, those are your potential business builders. So you need to invest in the people that you have before you go searching for all these other people to help. Make sure you're filling their cup before you go out and help others. So those are my main takeaways that kind of help me be successful and kind of how I structure my business.
I love those. Thank you, Courtney. All right, guys. So my 3, I'm excited to dive into these because after chatting with Courtney and the Courtneys, today, I like, it made me stop and really think about like what it is that I feel like is helping me be successful right now at this point in my business, and what I've looked back on in the past year, because I feel like this last year is really when I went all in with this business, and my confidence with it went up too. So my first tip is kind of bounces off of what Courtney Lubering just said about investing in relationships with your challengers. As you guys are pushing for ranks, you're bringing on new coaches, or bringing new coaches onto your team. So my number one thing that I reflect on this year is I've really built relationships with the coaches that have joined me, with the coaches that I have promised to mentor. And that's not just on a business stance. So something that I'm really intentional about doing is, one, I make time to answer all of my coaches. And I know the first thing that will overwhelm you is when you start to get questions from challengers and coaches and people who are potentially challengers or potentially coaches. It's a lot of conversations, and typing that can be really time consuming. So my number one thing is, when you start building relationships with the people that you're bringing onto your team, don't waste your time typing it out. Audio message them back, because that's going to be it's going to do 2 things for you. It's going to make your life easier. You can do it in such a quicker time, but it's also going to help the person, that coach that's joining your team, start to build that relationship with you, start to realize you're a person and not just someone that is here to answer their questions. And I've found that for my team, like, that's how I always answer them. And I feel like we're so close in that sense. So audio message, and then be intentional. And, I know this isn't on the business activity tracker, but I think it's really intentional to invest time, to set like 5 minutes of your day to invest time in your teammates' lives. So I am super intentional about watching my coaches' stories. They are taking the time and putting themselves out there, especially new coaches. It's nerve-wracking. And if I'm hoping all of you have put yourself on your Instagram stories. And I'm sure you probably remember the first time that you talked to your phone and how scary it was, or when you took the time to post something. Like, once you become a mentor, you want to invest in your coach's time and what's going on in their lives. And I feel like for me, that's been so huge in the relationships that I've built. I know my coaches' kids' names. I know what silly little things are happening in their lives. And half the time, my coaches then get stuck with knowing too much about me and my family and my husband. And so it's nice because we really form a tribe. So that's going to be my number one thing, is don't forget about building relationships with your teammates, with your coaches that you're bringing on. Next is be resourceful. And I'm going to kind of show you guys this. Some of you have probably seen me share about this before, but I know a lot of you haven't. So I really didn't have a huge upline. I do now, and I've made connections with people, but I really didn't have a lot of places for a lot of answers. And so I was super intentional about using the back office and using YouTube. I can't tell you how many tips and tricks and trainings that I have learned from other coaches in this network. I can't tell you, when my coach wasn't having team calls, I was watching other coaches' team calls on YouTube. There is so much information out there. The next thing I want to kind of the flip side of being resourceful is be resourceful with your own tools. Don't just use other people's tools. When you're watching someone else's team training, you better take something with you that you can take into action. Don't just become a hoarder of information. So I want to show you guys where and I hope you guys might freak out with all my tabs. Okay, I am the queen of Google Keep. If you have a Google email address, you have a Google Keep. It's one of the apps that goes along with it. Google Keep is what runs my day. Lately I've been getting intentional about setting my intentions, reading them every day, my gratitudes. But every single day when I'm sending my invites, I have my invites saved. I know exactly what it is that I'm going to say. When someone says, sure, tell me or send me more information, I have that follow-up already there. So obviously yours isn't going to look, as huge as mine is because I've been using this for a year straight, but I also, it's the space where I write my posts. So guys, these are my posts that I have. Every Instagram post is pretty much saved in my Google Keep. Why is that important? Because guys, one, if you're constantly adding to your Instagram, the post that you did 3 months ago that was bomb, those people, those 50 to 100 people, they haven't seen it. Those connections that you've made. So don't be afraid to reuse a post. That's why I save my posts all the time, especially in those days when you are exhausted and you have come home from work and you have no clue what you're going to post about. Scroll back 6 months. And if somebody remembers and says you posted this already, then you say, you know what, well, you might be too invested in my life and maybe you need to join my team, because there's no shame in that game. Be resourceful, guys. Your days, all of you, most of you here are either part-time coaches or doing this on part-time hours because you have a full-time life of taking care of kids. And you are going to have hard days. You're going to have days when your brain is fried at the end of it. Be resourceful in having tools like this. It took me 2 seconds to start this Google Keep, and I just started building it. The way I built this was with step 1, typed out my invite. And then I built upon that. And then when a new program came out, I built upon that. This didn't get, that whole massive mess wasn't made in one day. That was made from my year of consistency. And then I'm going to just branch right into it because it goes perfectly, is Instagram stories are great. But what I've noticed in these last probably couple months is Instagram, like all social media platforms, they start to get picky and choosy on who they're going to show their stuff to. And you'll notice your numbers of views will go up and down. And if you're only putting yourself in one place, like Instagram stories or Facebook stories, you're going to be losing a huge number of people. Not everybody watches Instagram stories. So you need to be making sure your face is popping up on your posts. I try to post at a minimum 5 times a week. I know that doesn't always, 5 times a week does. I try to post 7 times a week. I know that's not gonna always happen, but I have 5 days where I'm always posting. If you've ever watched the video on the color wheel, I think Amy Rada does it. There's also one in our Dynasty Transform. They have a really great social media units in that bigger page. Tons of social media training on how to not just be a Beachbody robot. So when you're posting, don't just post about Beachbody. I'll just kind of like put something out there. I made a really big vulnerable post this weekend about my marriage, and it blew up on Instagram. And I've talked about those things before, and if I would have talked about it on my Instagram stories, it may have not had the traction that it did on my post, because it was just, not everything needs to be said by us. Sometimes our writing and a picture says so much more and will catch people's eyes, because not everybody's watching Instagram stories every day. Not everybody, if people that are scrolling at work, they might not be allowed to listen to what's being said. So they might just be scrolling their feed. So make sure your face is in their feed too. And that's my 3rd tip. So relationships with your team. We work so hard on our challenge groups, but don't forget about the coaches that you brought in, even if they're a discount coach. Put them on your team page. Guys, I was a discount coach. Don't discount the discount coach. And then just be resourceful of your time. Audio messages, the Google Keep is a game changer. And then YouTube, Google, we love that all. And then consistently post about things other than just Beachbody. And that is all I have. Does anyone have any questions? We did good. We did this in 30 minutes. I'm pretty proud of ourselves. If you have any questions, you can, let's see the chat. Game changer, me too. Oh, I think that was with Google Keep. If so, I love it. Yes. Google Keep is amazing. It's just so easy, especially where you have everything already there. All right. No questions? All right. Well, if you guys think of anything, drop it in the 60-day sleigh. Remember, this is a take action group. I'm excited because I'm pushing my 2nd business center to Diamond also. So let's do it. Court, did you have something? Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were laughing. I didn't know.
I was laughing at Kaylin's husband.
Oh, I didn't. Colby. All right, guys. I will post this recording because I know we have a lot of ladies who weren't able to get on tonight. I'll post the recording in the Slay group in just a couple minutes. Chat with you guys later. Bye.
Bye, guys.